Hello, today you will hear an incredible story. What do women need? Money, adrenaline, happiness, harmony? I am already 52 years old, married for almost 30 years, but I still cannot understand what exactly my wife needs. My name is Sergey. I grew up in a hardworking family. My parents taught me and my brother to work from an early age. Of course, in my youth, we were used to the idea that in order to earn something, you only need to work. After my time in the army, I found a job that I enjoyed. From a young age, I had a passion for cars and quickly learned how to identify and fix any issues. I still love being on the road. It's a peaceful time to reflect on life while admiring the beautiful landscapes of our country. I worked at a local garage where I always had a steady income. In the evenings, us young people would gather on the street and have a great time without the distractions of the internet and mobile phones. It was on one of those evenings that I noticed her, my future wife. It seemed like just yesterday she was running around with the other girls on the street, and now she had blossomed into a stunning beauty. She would sit on a bench with her friends, chatting and laughing, and I couldn't help but notice her looking at me. And who could blame her? She was 180 centimeters tall, with jet black hair and an ounce of extra weight. She had transformed into such a pretty face with shoulder-length blonde hair, a slender figure, and medium height. How could I not fall in love with her? We started dating and things moved quickly. After just 4 months, we found out that Margarita was pregnant. I was her first and only partner. She was so inexperienced in these matters that she thought her pregnancy was just normal weight gain. Of course, I decided to marry her, and we were so in love, eagerly awaiting the arrival of our son. He was born on a beautiful sunny morning in the fall, and it remains one of the happiest days of my life. He was my spitting image, and I was so grateful to Margarita for giving me a son. After that, we lived a simple family life. I went to work and provided for my family. My wife married me right after high school and didn't pursue any further education, but she dedicated all her time to our family. She took care of the house, raised our son, and was a wonderful wife. Time flew by, and before we knew it, our son was about to graduate. Margarita and I worked together at a bakery, with me as the driver and her in the shop. It was during this time that I noticed some changes in her. Sometimes after a long day at work, we would treat ourselves to a glass of beer at home. At work, we always had each other's company. We could also have a good time with our co-workers, because most of them were around our age. However, my wife's behavior changed when she started drinking. She would often accuse me of imaginary betrayals and not providing for her as she wanted. This was due to her close relationship with a colleague in the workshop, Natalia. Natalia was an attractive 30-year-old woman who always tried to take charge and give unsolicited advice to everyone she encountered. She would boast about her husband's high salary, their luxurious vacations, and her ability to buy whatever she wanted. One day, while celebrating a colleague's birthday, I stepped outside for a smoke break. Natalia joined me and confessed that she was interested in me and wanted to have an affair. I was shocked and immediately told her that I was happily married and had no interest in cheating. In response, Natalia laughed cruelly and spat in my face, calling me a fool and accusing me of already having horns. She then stormed off, leaving me feeling conflicted. On one hand, I was disturbed by her words, but on the other hand, I couldn't help but admire her confidence. I calmly smoked a cigarette and decided to tell my wife Margarita about the encounter the next day. The following morning, my wife and I woke up with terrible headaches. We decided to indulge in some alcohol to ease our hangovers, as it was our only day off of the week. I quickly grabbed some smoked sausage and cheese from the fridge to snack on, while Margarita heated up some leftover potatoes on the stove. She always cooked delicious meals for me, and I happily indulged in all of her dishes, resulting in a small belly that I had acquired over the years. Margarita had a rule that the table must always be fully set, even if it was just the two of us having breakfast. She was a wonderful wife and homemaker. Once everything was ready, we were able to relax and enjoy our drinks without any interruptions. We reminisced about the previous night, discussed our co-workers' antics, and talked about the behavior of one particular employee. It was then that I remembered my conversation with Natalia. I never kept secrets from my wife, so I told her everything. As I reached for another piece of food, I couldn't help but feel grateful for my loving and understanding wife. Cheese with a fork. I expected that now Margarita would laugh at this story and say that it was all her friend's fiction. But there was some disturbing silence. I raised my head to look at my wife and saw some panic or fear in her eyes. She blushed all over and didn't even try to deny anything. I waited for a couple of minutes, staring directly into his eyes. And then my beloved, the only native person, began to speak. With Oleg, our other driver, she got to know him better after all, that damn Natalia. While I was delivering bread to trading points, he was constantly revolving around the beautiful half of the workers at our bakery. Oleg was a tall, slender blonde. He was very fond of joking, and he also knew how to charm women with some banal compliments. But our women were very moved by his words. At home, he had a young wife who was pregnant with their first child. True, Oleg already had 2 daughters from his first marriage. At every celebration, he always said that the strongest marriage is the 4th, and the first 3 are, yes, experience. And winking at the women, he said that everything was still ahead of him. And so about a month ago, I was at home on sick leave. He badly injured his leg while repairing his car. My Margarita was at work. There was less work that day, and she left earlier. Oleg approached her in the dressing room and offered to give Margarita a ride home. She immediately agreed because she did not want to walk home. A light rain began to fall outside. As they got into his car, he warned them that they would stop by his garage on the way because he needed to pick up something there. My wife didn't mind because it would be much faster than walking home, and my legs were already sore after a day at work. 10 minutes later, they stopped at the large iron garage door, and here, Oleg, returning to Margarita, offered her to look at the dream of his whole life. She wondered what it could be, and the 2 of them entered the room. Here, it was clear that the owner loved this place. On the left were high shelves with various tools. Right in front of her, the woman saw something covered with a flowery cloth. And at first, she was surprised to see a large, beautiful sofa in the corner. Oleg explained everything simply. When he wants to escape from the tantrums of his pregnant wife, he comes here and stays for the night in a calm atmosphere. The man approached something covered and pulled a cloth over it with a sharp movement. Margarita saw that it was a sports motorcycle. Beautiful, of course, shiny, black, but the woman was always indifferent to this type of transport. Margarita said that it was beautiful, simply out of politeness. And Oleg's eyes were shining with happiness because of such a cool purchase. And then the man offered to wash the motorcycle, taking out a bottle of wine from the shelf. My wife accepted the glass from his hands, and they chatted about various topics until they finished it all. Here, Oleg approached Margarita, hugged her, and kissed her firmly on the lips. At first, his wife pushed him away from her, but after a minute, she gave in. She said that she had never felt so good. He was a wonderful lover, and Margarita met him twice more. The wife was silent for a minute, and then said that she still loves only me, and this affair means nothing. I don't know where I got all the patience with which I listened to this story. But now, when I looked at my only beloved with different eyes, the blood hit my head, which darkened my eyes, and I quickly told her to run. My wife had never seen me like this, and after a short time she ran out of the house. I had images of her betrayal in my head. It was a knife in the back. I couldn't even imagine how it was possible to endure all this pain, anger, and resentment. A wooden chair got under my hand, and I smashed it completely on the floor. I went out into the yard, but Margarita was nowhere to be found, and the phone was in the house. I did not know where she was at that time. I smoked half a pack of cigarettes and went back into the house. I didn't know how to calm myself down. First, I went to our bedroom, but I left almost immediately because it now seemed somewhat dirty to me. Then I sat down in the living room and picked up our family photo album. I spent a long time thinking about my life, flipping through the pages of our happy events. I confess at that moment I did not want to live. But I still have a son who needs me. My wife came to the house in the evening. At that time, I had already made the decision that I wanted to keep my family. I told her about it and added that I would try to forgive her. Margarita cried bitterly and said that she did not want to hurt me in any way, that she loves me very much, and that this should never happen again. More years passed. Our son is now completely independent and works in a big city at a high-paying job. He has a beautiful girlfriend. My wife and I dream of grandchildren. Everything is fine, and while we still have our disputes, we always find a way to reconcile. I rarely remember that incident anymore. This morning, my sister called me and asked me to come to work quickly. Vika worked as a saleswoman in a flower shop. Across from her was a grocery store where my beloved worked. I ran to my sister as fast as I could. She looked at me with concern, took my hand, and led me to the grocery store. We stood on the corner, and I cautiously looked around the corner. My Ritka was kissing some driver 20 meters from me. His hand was on her buttocks. My sister pulled me by the sleeve and said that she was sick of seeing such scenes, and that it had been going on for years. Only the drivers change. Once again, I felt a wave of pain, and my eyes darkened. It was very lucky that Vika was with me at that moment. She sharply grabbed my sleeve and hissed that my sister said to eventually do something about it. Just no nonsense. And then I had a perfect plan in my head. Poking my head around the corner, I managed to see this couple slip into one of the warehouses. I quickly ran to the door, quietly opened it, and took out my mobile phone. A week after that, my son announced his marriage to us. I will soon have a grandson or granddaughter. They plan to celebrate the wedding at home, without a lot of relatives. I lived this time as if in a fog. He tried to behave with his wife as usual. The only thing was that he could not make love with her. She became disgusting and dirty for me. Due to pre-wedding worries, Margarita did not pay attention to this. Today is a good day. Even the son rejoiced with us at the creation of a new family. About 60 relatives and close people gathered in a wonderful cozy restaurant. Toasts, greetings, and wishes to the newlyweds are heard. Finally, the dance of the young man and his mother was announced. The music played, everyone fell silent. In the background, a screen was turned on, where photos of my son from childhood, from school, and now from graduation with his mother appeared. At that time, the music stopped, and a video recording of Margarita's love pleasures appeared on the screen. There was complete silence in the hall. Only my unfaithful wife turned her head in all directions. Finally, she met my eyes and understood that this was my revenge for all the pain and anger. She was red with the look of a beaten dog and ran out of the restaurant. When we returned home, neither my wife nor her things were there. And now I rock my beloved granddaughter. Thank God that I have a wonderful son and his family. Dear listeners, please like and subscribe to our channel. It stimulates me to release new videos for you.